It's the Unhappy Hour.
Broadcasting to you live from the Milky Way galaxy, the solar system, planet Earth, North America, the United States of America. Hey Blake, where's Washington, D.C.? We're in the District of Columbia? How do I say that?
Yeah, I don't know.
Because I usually say like California, Los Angeles to be specific, or Kentucky, Louisville to be specific. What do I say? District of Columbia, Washington, D.C. to be specific?
I would just say Washington, D.C. to be specific.
That's kind of weird, right? Welcome. We're in D.C.
Yep.
But anyway, welcome to the Unhappy Hour. My name is Brian Engelman, and thank you so much for being a part of the program for so many years. We appreciate you on all of the platforms. YouTube.com. Actually, what's it? Go to YouTube.com/TheNewAmericanMedia. Follow us there, and we're going to build a separate sports-only YouTube channel. Anyway, Cleveland Browns, Ohio State Buckeyes. What a fantastic weekend it was. So let's split this into two pieces. Piece number one, we're going to talk about the Ohio State Buckeyes, hence the hat. All right. I have been a sports fan for a long time, and I've never seen a more poorly officiated game than I saw in the Clemson-Ohio State playoff game last year. The play was ruled a touchdown on the field. Specifically, this one play makes it the worst officiated game I've ever seen. Clemson player catches the ball, takes one step, two steps. I believe it was 3 or 4 steps, but at least 1, 2, 3, I think. The ball is knocked out of his hands, clearly recovered by a Buckeye who takes it down for a touchdown. It was ruled a touchdown on the field, and they went to the replay booth and reversed it. It's supposed to be 100% overwhelming evidence to overturn a call. That wasn't the case. But they took points off the board for the Buckeyes. It gave them another chance. I mean, it was just awful. We were robbed, totally robbed last year. So to get to play Clemson this year with Dabo Swinney just ranking us number 11 in his final poll, that smug, smarmy guy, I do not like Dabo Swinney. I don't know if you guys do or not, but man, he just irks me just looking at him. I don't like looking at him. We got to play Clemson again. And man, oh man, look, the Buckeyes had been using this for momentum the entire offseason, and it showed. The Buckeyes put a hurtin' on Clemson. 49-28, the 7-0 Buckeyes will advance as the number 3 seed, or, as Dabo Swinney thinks, the number 11 seed, advance to the national championship game. I believe it's on Monday against Alabama Crimson Tide. Justin Fields. What can you say about Justin Fields that hasn't already been said? Well, actually a fair amount. Last year, it ended poorly. And, you came over from Georgia, you were highly regarded, this, that, and the other. But what's the impression? The impression is he threw the interception in the end zone on the final play of the game that sealed the win for Clemson last year. You can blame him for that because he did throw that ball, obviously. But, Olave cut for a post when he thought he was going out for a flag pattern, a corner route. I don't know. I mean, the play was a little bit of improv, and you had to pick one or the other, and just pick the wrong one. I didn't think poorly of Justin Fields. That play wasn't ideal, but I didn't think he was a bum. And he came out this year, all the Heisman talk. Heisman. And it got to him. He admitted as much. He got distracted by it. And it's hard to not hear the noise. It's hard to not start believing the hype, if you will. But look, Justin Fields, he took a spear to the back or the ribs or the side. I believe he said his ribs. I mean, he was having trouble moving. You could see him on the sidelines in pain. And you know what they did afterward? They kept airing the ball out. They kept airing it out. You hang 49 on the number 2 team in the country, that offense is clicking. That's pretty impressive. 6 touchdowns from Justin Fields. 6 passing touchdowns. 22 of 28 for 385 yards, 6 touchdowns, and 1 interception. Absolutely mind-blowing. Epic performance from Justin Fields. And remember, Justin Fields, he and Trevor Lawrence are forever going to be linked. They've played twice now. But they were both very vocal in bringing college football back for the Big Ten. If you remember, just a few months ago, these governors, these Meg Whitmers and Gretchen Whitmer, who am I saying? Meg. Who's Meg? Meg from Family Guy? This phone keeps falling off. Sorry, folks, we're going to keep doing this, even if it keeps falling. Gretchen Whitmer. But anyway, remember the Big Ten? They got all scared and then they canceled the season because of COVID. And then people like Justin Fields were saying, let them play, let us play, let us play, let us play. He was very vocal. Now, Trevor Lawrence was also. But the Ohio State Buckeyes bringing the Big Ten kicking and screaming back into a conference. And by the way, that team up north, bailing on a chance to get blown out by us this year. You know you would have been blown out this year. Cancel that game. Come on. Anyway, Justin Fields and the Buckeyes deserve so much credit for bringing football back and for avenging what went wrong last year. This game was never in doubt. I mean, after one quarter, it was 14-14, but the third quarter, you blank the Tigers and add 21 points. That game's done. You know, they matched 7-7, 7-7 afterward, but that second quarter is what won the game. And by then, they were demoralized at halftime. So kudos to Ryan Day for coming up with a good strategy to continue to air it out. But man, the guts on Fields, taking that hit to the ribs. He had a hard time getting on and off an exercise bike. I mean, there were countless shots of him trying to move around and just in serious pain. And he gutted it out. So here's the concern for Buckeyes fans. Is he going to be okay for the championship game? I don't know. I hope so. Keep an eye on the medical reports. Share the stories. Join our other group. It's on Facebook called Strictly Buckeyes. Powered by The Unhappy Hour. The group on Facebook is called The Unhappy Hour Sports Show, a support group. So join both of those groups. Moving along here, I mean, there's plenty of storylines for the Buckeyes, but I'm just so happy. It made me so happy. This game was really never in doubt. Trey Sermon, another transfer running back. Have you ever heard of a more quiet 193-yard rushing performance? 6.2-yard average on 31 carries and a touchdown. I mean, that's the quietest almost 200-yard rushing performance I might have ever seen. Kudos to Trey Sermon. He lit it up against Northwestern, and thankfully he did. That game was pretty close, and we needed every point we could get. So kudos to Trey Sermon. Kudos to the Big Ten, to Ryan Day, to Justin Fields, to everybody. There's so many people we could start talking about. There's so many different storylines we could get into here. Yeah, Chris Olave, 6 catches, 132 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Jeremy Ruckert, yeah, all that tight end action. Cut that segment out. Make a mashup. Yeah, two really nice touchdown catches from tight end Jeremy Ruckert. So kudos to the Ohio State Buckeyes. We've beaten Alabama before when it counted. You know, most notably recently when we beat the Oregon Ducks after beating Alabama to win a national championship. So, super excited. Tell me what you were most impressed by. That'll be our question of the day. What were you most impressed by in this performance? For me, it was the toughness and the gutsiness, the intangible factor, the X factor that Justin Fields brought. Being able to make it through. And I mean, when you're throwing the ball, you're torquing, you're twisting. I mean, that's working all your upper body, your pecs, your shoulders, down your back, your lats. All of your upper body is connected. So Justin Fields taking that hit right here, every time he had to throw, he's twisting. There's no way to avoid that. If you got a gimpy ankle, you can maybe just stand in the pocket and you know you're not going to run, so your timer will be a little faster. He couldn't fake that. So number one for me, the most impressive thing was Justin Fields and his toughness. That's an X factor. And I guess the second question of the day is, if you were the number one pick, if you have the number one pick in the NFL draft and you're going for quarterback, do you take Justin Fields? Because let's face it, he outplayed the Clemson Tigers. He did. 33 of 48. He had 400 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, and 1 interception. You know, Justin Fields really outplayed Trevor Lawrence. So, is Trevor Lawrence still the number one pick, or might you take Justin Fields as the number one pick to start a franchise? That X factor, he's got something. You can't fake that. So, 2 questions of the day. Put them below. Thank you, and we'll talk again soon.